Gilbert, you said it. Derek Carr signs a new contract with the New Orleans Saints. He goes and signs with New Orleans. I know he had meetings while
Yeah.
he was in Indy, and then Geno Smith is back with the Seattle Seahawks. So, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, you can start with Derek Carr first. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Fernando. There's a couple things here, and again, to plug a story on SI, I wrote about it. Derek Carr going to the Saints, and the first thought I had was like, cool, like you got a nice quarterback. I don't know if he's like a really excellent quarterback. I want to say what, he's an above average quarterback. He's definitely in that range, but I don't know if he's a quarterback that's going to change your franchise fortunes or win your Super Bowl. And then when you pair that with the roster that the Saints have and their messy salary cap, I'm like, okay, there's two reasons and what I wrote. Like, you always want to be competitive. You're a passionate fan base like the Saints. You want to win for that group. Like you do it with the Steelers winning for in Pittsburgh, the Ravens win in Baltimore. All these teams that have just a history of being competitive, but those teams have Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh.
What?
Exactly. Dennis Allen, a little unproven. It didn't work out in Oakland. And then, like, you got the issues with Alvin Kamara. Michael Thomas cannot stay healthy. Who knows he's going to even be on the roster? Like, it could be Derek Carr just throwing a bunch of passes to Chris Olave. That'd be nice, right, for fantasy football. And then you have an easy division. You could win the NFC South, but once you get to the wild card, you lose. Is this all worth it for the salary cap disaster that you created because you refuse to retool after Drew Brees retired? Sean Payton left for a reason, Fernando. Like he knew what was
Yeah,
coming,
yeah.
and this team refuses to get away from the Rams mentality where they think they're going to be all in. And the way I wrote it was like they avoid the debt because they haven't won the Super Bowl since 2009. Like the Rams could be like, you know what, we did our job, we won the Super Bowl, time to pay the debt. The Saints won't do it, and that to me is like, all right, cool. You want to be competitive, and you never know, Fran, because sometimes you say competitive, you could ascend very, very quickly. Like the Eagles, who saw the Eagles rise this quickly because they wanted to be competitive? I guess you did. There you go. I'll give you credit. But then, how about I shift it to you now? Do you see some kind of quick rise for the Saints with Derek Carr? Because I don't. And I
They
don't
would
get it.
have to they would have to restructure contracts. That's the thing that Mickey Loomis is actually pretty good at kind of bringing guys back. But the thing is, Marshawn Latimer, he's been injured. You have Tyrann Mathieu, didn't play as well as he did when he was with the Kansas
Older.
City. Exactly. Like you said, Michael Thomas. Man, Michael Thomas a couple of years ago was regarded as, oh, he's the next big thing. He's the next Julio Jones. And he's fallen off. He's gotten injured. He's done some weirdo stuff. And so I just don't know if he's gonna I don't think he's going to be there. I really don't. I think he's a cap casualty. They're probably going to cut him. Will he be picked up by someone? That's going to be another thing that we don't. I mean, look at Josh Gordon. Josh Gordon's playing in the XFL. And shout out to him, 108 yards, 2 touchdowns over the weekend.
How do you know that?
I saw it on Twitter.
It's like,
By
what?
the way, I think it was a New Orleans Saints beat reporter goes, congratulations to the Saints. They just got the Andy Dalton of the AFC. He's like, why
Wow.
not just stick with what you already had? I'm like, oh wow. I'm
Andy
like,
Dalton, the
dang.
original Andy Dalton, by the way. Don't get it twisted.
Exactly. So yeah, the red rifle.
Yeah.
But definitely I just don't know if Mickey Loomis can keep this and keep it down a little bit and then able to go get more weapons for Derek Carr. They might be able to, like you said, the wild card. Yeah. I just don't know if they can make it past that. But, I mean, the NFC is a little bit weak, so
Yeah.
maybe they could make it a little bit past it, but I just don't see them making that huge strides. No, but I mean, like you said, Derek Carr is a serviceable quarterback, and he might be able to do a little something, something.
But be real. I get it that every year the NFL changes, and
Yeah,
Victor producer tells that every single year it gets different. But like, do you see him beating the 49ers or the
no.
Eagles or even a team like the Cowboys? Yeah, I don't
See, I
know.
want to see what happens with the Eagles with all the 20 free agents that they have. But no, as of right now, I can't see them beating either one of those teams unless it's in New Orleans and it's loud and it's one of those like where the noise kind of got to them, the atmosphere, everything. But I don't see it.
Well, well,
I
let,
don't see them as a top team, but I see them winning their division, which I mean,
well,
I
let
guess
me
that's
ask you
what they're
this
gonna.
because I wrote a different alternative. Like, what if they would have gotten like a Jacoby Brissett who did decent when Deshaun Watson was gone with the Browns, and then you draft a rookie quarterback like Cooker from Tennessee? Wouldn't that be better route there? You fix your salary cap and you're still somewhat competitive, or am I
Yeah.
off there? I don't know.
Well, I mean, the thing is that okay, now that there's another thing. Do you trust your offense to be able to develop a. I mean, obviously you have him there, but can they develop a young quarterback? When's the last time that they developed a young quarterback in New Orleans? It's been
Good point.
years. It's been years since I've had, hell, years my behind. They got Drew Brees from San Diego.
Yeah,
So yeah, no,
there you go.
they've never really had to develop a young
Ding.
quarterback. Taysom Hill was a gadget weapon. So by the way, did you see that stat today? Taysom Hill has made as much money in his career as Lamar Jackson has in his career. So
Wow.
I saw that stat. That was really interesting. But definitely, I just don't see it. I'm with you in that sense, but it's just I don't know. I don't think they can develop a young quarterback, and I feel like that's kind of the thing. But then why'd you keep Dennis Allen then if you feel like this coaching staff couldn't develop him?
Look,
So
he was on the hot seat last year. What makes you think he's gonna
exactly.
like
And
figure
and
it
now
out?
you give him a brand new quarterback. What if it doesn't work out? Like, what are you gonna do next year? Like, you're gonna have to fire him. You're gonna have to bring in a whole new coach. I just don't know. I'm this is really puzzling for me. I thought a team like New York may do it, but I guess New York is just waiting to see what happens with Aaron Rodgers.
And Fernando, I'll give you a transition here. Like, like I get it. You want to be competitive and you want to owe it to your fans, like your passionate fans. But like, there's different ways to it. And one example, the Seahawks. They
Yeah,
traded Russell Wilson. They got a bunch of draft picks. They fixed their salary cap, and oh, surprise, surprise, Geno Smith is actually decent. Like that's a different way. The Saints don't have a healthy salary cap. The Seahawks do, and but
yeah.
now they're paying Geno Smith, and I guess we could go into that if you want.
But my question, okay, so there has to be an out, right? Like
I
maybe after
think
two
I think
years.
it's 2 years.
Okay,
But
so if
that's
there's an
still you're committing $70 million in 2 years to
yeah,
Carr.
did you see how much he's gonna make this year?
Is it like oh yeah, he has
Gino,
like bonus or Gino.
52
Oh
million.
yeah.
Gino's gonna make $52 million.
Derek Carr's making 60 gives the signing bonus.
Are you serious? My
Yeah.
God, wow, that's incredible. That's a lot of money to be
Hey,
thrown
and
around.
random people
For,
laugh at me for saying that Daniel Jones is dumb for asking
but
$45
that's why I
million.
didn't. But that's why I didn't laugh. That's why I
Yeah,
didn't laugh
that's
because
what
I
they're
knew that
making.
that's gonna end up happening, and that's what ends up happening with these. Yeah, so I don't blame you for writing that. I saw when you wrote it. I saw some of the comments, but I'm like, dude, that's the way we're leaning right now. That's the way the NFL is going. They're overpaying quarterbacks who haven't won a playoff game or who haven't done this or who haven't done that. So
And
that's
it,
just the way it's gonna go. But with Geno Smith,
yeah,
I'm just interested to see because I think New Orleans or Seattle could end up drafting a young quarterback, letting him learn behind Geno, and then in a year or two, or hell, even this year, if something happens with Geno, that young quarterback may have to go in. But I'm definitely interested to see how this is going to play out with Geno because Geno to me is the interesting. His situation is the interesting one to me.
it's tough for now with Geno and the Seahawks because like let me ask you the same question. It's kind of like with Derek Carr. Like, do you
Yeah,
see Geno Smith and the Seahawks making noise? I think they can make more noise than
I
the
think they make
Saints.
more noise in New Orleans.
Like, but can you mean New Orleans can make more noise than the Seahawks?
No, I
Or
think the Seahawks could make more
okay,
noise in New
yeah.
Orleans.
And but like, is it like will it get you over the top? Will it get you to the Super Bowl? Like, it's kind of like mixed. And then like, if you're trying to like build the roster and you're at number 5 and you're trying to field a good competitive team because you want to draft well, and you're thinking, okay, we could wait for the long term quarterback. When are you going to be top 5 again in the draft? You're trying to avoid being top 5. This could be
Yeah,
the year to finally get one and let a guy like Anthony Richardson, who, all right, that's my guy already. I fell in love with that guy. Yeah, he's a compa, and you let him develop for a year or two, and
ooh,
then
don't get me started on
see what
that.
happens with Geno. But then again, it's like Pete Carroll's older. He wants to win now. Pete Carroll really believes in his guy. So I don't know. We'll see. But I just feel like when you're top 5 and you get an opportunity to get that long term quarterback, you got to at least be thinking about it. But Geno Smith, shout out
I
to that
completely
guy. People forgot about him and he got paid.
I completely agree with you. Unless they're going to go the Dan and Dago route and they're just going to build up the because they've already done a good job of building their offensive line. They've got the right tackle, the left tackle.
Yeah.
Now start going for the guard, start going for other positions. Then on defense, you need help at safety. You need which I mean this draft to me is tight end and cornerback heavy. So if you want to go corner, if you want to go pass rusher, I don't know. I really do think that this might be a good draft, like you said, to get a quarterback. But if they don't, the Seahawks could literally help themselves out by being able to grab something else and being able to help form their defense. But I'm really this is gonna be an interesting this is gonna be really interesting.
Yeah. And then last thing is like the one thing you got me thinking was like a lot of people were bringing this up before the whole moving parts with the quarterbacks. Like
Yeah.
there's no middle tier money for the quarterbacks, and that's why I was
Oh,
thinking like Like I honestly started laughing when Daniel Jones reports came out about like 45 million. I started thinking about it. It sounds right because there is no middle tier to go off of. That's why Derek Carr, Geno Smith,
No.
Daniel Jones eventually will get paid. And what else can you do? Because that's still like top 15 money, and they are around that range.
Yeah. No, I completely agree.